Physical touch is an amazing love language that everyone enjoys at some point in their relationship. Today, we're going to learn how you can use physical touch as a husband to bring your wife closer to you and ultimately show her genuine love. This is a continuation from episode 19 about words of affirmation. If you didn't get a chance to listen to that one, I recommend you pause this and start there and then come back to this episode. Now, if you're good to go, stay tuned and let's learn how to love our wife today. Welcome to the Husband's Coach's Corner, the podcast that teaches husbands how to love their wife every day and become better men in the process. I'm your host, Chris Scott, aka the Husband Coach. All right, listeners, welcome back to the Husband Coach's Corner. Today, we are going to be talking about physical touch in the relationship and how you can show that to your wife on a very genuine basis, genuine level. But before I go further in the show, I do have some admin notes that I want to go over. First, I genuinely want to say thank you to every single listener on this show. It genuinely means a lot to me that you guys are out here fighting for your marriages and, really breaking the back of divorce and overcoming some of the challenges that set back a lot of marriages. Now, I am honored to be a part of that journey because truthfully, you guys are the ones putting in the work. So I truly do commend every single person who is acting out these drills and finding a way to love your wife every single day. So I just want to say thank you to all the listeners who have wrote. I want to say thank you to all the listeners who have written in saying that they really do appreciate this podcast and that these drills are helping them become better husbands. And that's exciting for me. So kudos to you all. The second thing that I want to bring up is I went through and numbered every single episode for easy reference. That's important because there's some people that I want to point to a particular episode when they ask a question, and it's easier if I have an episode number to reference. With that being said, any episode that I reference in a particular show, you will be able to find that in the show notes moving forward. So just something for everyone to be aware of. And then the last thing that I have is I am preparing a Facebook group. So it's a little bit easier for everyone to connect. Not everyone feels comfortable sending an email. Maybe they'll feel a little bit more comfortable sending a message on Facebook, a direct message. But what's really important about the Facebook group is having a community. Just like in anything that we do as people and humans, a community really does go a long way in helping our success down the line. So if you're into Facebook, once the page is up, I'll put a link into the show notes and make an announcement and, just regularly mention that there is a Facebook group. So I do want you guys to know that. It is coming, and I hope to see many of you in there so we can just help each other, right? I think that there are some fantastic husbands out there that have better drills and more experience and knowledge than I do. And I want to make sure that, we're sharing our experiences and our knowledge and encouraging one another because it does help to have people that are going through the same thing be able to come alongside you and say, hey, I get that. Here's what I tried with my wife. Maybe this will be a good idea for you. So that'll be coming. Promise I'll make an announcement about it. And just so everyone is aware, yes, we are going over the 5 love languages. If you've never heard of the 5 love languages before, I recommend you go into the show notes. There is an affiliate link, and it does help this show as I continue to pump out the content. The affiliate link does help the show. But it's I think, a $9 book. Nothing over the top, crazy expensive. but the content inside of the book is just amazing. And if you've never read the five love languages, and maybe reading's not your thing, get the audiobook. It doesn't matter. You want to get more familiar with I guess, the author of the book, or the concepts that the author writes about in the book. Because this podcast, I'm going to just give you some very straightforward knowledge about them. But if you want to go deeper into what the five love languages are, how they work, and something that you want to share with your wife, I recommend you get the book, you read through it, and yeah. I'm not trying to be salesy. I just believe that there's a lot of value in that book. I've read that book at least 4 times. So look, it's a great book, and I go back and reference it from time to time. Enough on that. Let's go ahead and get into physical touch today. So the first thing we'll start off with is, what the heck is physical touch? Well, kissing, hugging, holding hands, sex. These are the common ways to, physically touch your wife. This isn't a surprise. There's no great reveal on what the heck physical touch is. Today, what we're really going to be focusing on is how you can use physical touch to genuinely show love to your wife. Because, you can walk up to your wife and tap her on the shoulder, or maybe, you like to give her a little love tap on the butt, something like that. Well, that may not resonate as love to her, especially if physical touch is a primary love language for your wife. Now, if physical touch isn't a primary love language, you still want to physically touch, because when you touch your wife, there's a connection there. All right. And regardless of if this is the lowest thing on her love language list, she scores the lowest in physical touch, you still want to show her physical touch, period. Just like words of affirmation from last week, even if that's the lowest one on her list, you still want to show her words of affirmation, or give her words of affirmation. You want to affirm your wife, and you also want to touch your wife, right? This shouldn't be a foreign concept. This shouldn't be a challenge for many of you to grasp. I think that everyone would agree we want to love our wives by affirming and touching her. But some unique ways that you can really get into physical touch is cuddling while watching a movie. That doesn't sound so unique, but sometimes there are men out there that just don't feel comfortable with holding their wife while they watch a movie. At the time of this recording, Hallmark is offering up a ton of Christmas movies, and my wife loves these Hallmark Christmas movies. So I have found myself at least once to twice a week, I am sitting down watching these Hallmark movies with my wife. And I'll be honest with you, that is sometimes a challenge for me. But when I'm holding my wife, be it her hand or I have my arm wrapped around her, just like the cliche cuddling while watching a TV show or a movie, she feels comfortable and she is feeling loved, because she knows I don't really like to watch romantic comedies and these Hallmark movies. But I love my wife, so I endure the cringe fest that is Hallmark movies. Yeah. But the moral of the story, and what I really want you guys to get out of that, is sometimes the physical touch will outweigh where you personally are, and you really do have to serve your wife in a way that resonates well, because those movies are like 2 hours long, or an hour and a half, whatever. Doesn't really matter. Moral of the story is the amount of time that I'm investing in my marriage and filling my wife's love tank is way more important than me sitting there watching the movie that, gets all cringy. Not telling you guys to watch movies with your wives, but that is something that you can do. All right. The next thing, and I really enjoy this one, right? Guys, let me just pause on the physical touch for a quick second. We need to date our wives. You remember back in the day, like when you would take your wife out and you would caress her and stuff like that, right? Well, when we get married, sometimes we just lose that drive and we don't do it anymore. But our wives, they still love that stuff. Like my wife eats that stuff up. So whenever we're having dinner, even if our kids are sitting at the table with us, I just take my shoes off and I put my feet over hers and I rub the top of her foot, and this signals to her that even when we're eating dinner, I'm still thinking about her and I'm, wanting to show her love in a genuine way. And she appreciates this. One, because for some reason her feet are always cold and my feet warm hers up. But the other thing that she appreciates about it is the simplicity of me rubbing her feet shows her love. And she really does enjoy that. Sometimes she laughs about it because she's like, man, what are we, 12? And, I'm like, well, whatever. If you like it, then it's all good. And another way of showing physical touch, and this is a really good way to combine with a later drill that I'll give you guys later on down the line, is a really good massage during a date night, right? You say, hey, I'm going to give you a massage on Saturday. Don't plan anything. You light some candles, or you get those battery operated candles that you can find on Amazon, and you dim them. You put on a little bit of like smooth jazz or, some R&B love songs. You put a little towel down on the bed or whatever, and you just give her a nice back rub, rub her legs and just really give her a full-on body massage. And, look, let's just be honest. This could potentially lead to sex, all right? But don't make that the intent, right? Make the intent you genuinely trying to show your wife love, especially if she's spending a lot of time taking care of the kids, taking care of the house. Your wife needs a reprieve at times, and there's no one better to give her that reprieve than her husband. That's you. So give it to her. Show your wife that you acknowledge that she does a lot of stuff and you just want to show her some love. All right. Now, physical touch is a timing thing. You have to know when the right time is to actually touch your wife. Because let's be real, like sometimes it's not a good time to touch your wife. I learned that my wife hates. We used to live in Alaska. I would come in from outside doing whatever it is, and when I would walk past my wife, I would touch her, and guess what? My hands are cold. My wife hates being touched with cold hands. Go figure. All right. Now, I probably could have figured that out, but I learned when I touch my wife with cold hands, she does not receive that as genuine love. She receives that as, get away from me. Your hands are cold. Don't touch me with those hands right now. And I said, oh, okay, well, timing does matter with touch. So, pay attention to when you are touching your wife, because there are signs when she'll be ready to receive the physical touch that you're going to give her. And there's other times when it's just not appropriate. I have found that temperature is a key indicator for my wife. If it's really hot in our house, she doesn't want to be hugged. She doesn't want to, or actually, that's a good point. When it's really hot, my wife doesn't want to be hugged. She'd rather be like, grab her hand or, just sit a little close to her, but not wrapping her up. She doesn't like that. And that's all because temperature makes her uncomfortable. So look, I'm not going to beat the horse on this one. Learn the physical touch that your wife will appreciate and serve that to her on a regular basis at the time in which she will receive it as well as possible. All right. If you're having a hard time engaging with your wife on physical touch, and you know for a fact that this is, especially if this is her primary love language, and I guess this is a good time to mention, if you haven't already gotten your wife to take this love language test, I recommend that you know, talk her into taking it. This is only going to improve your guys' marriage, no matter where you are. If you are explaining to her, I am genuinely trying to improve our marriage, and I believe that learning your love language is going to help me communicate effectively with you. Will you please take this test? More often than not, your wife is going to willingly take the test and share her results with you, as you should be sharing your results with her. Now, if you know for a fact that physical touch is your wife's primary love language, ask her to instruct you. Okay? Ask her to instruct you. Now, I'll get more into that when we talk about this week's drill, but don't be afraid to go to your wife and say, hey, what is it that you genuinely feel loved when I touch you? Like, what type of touch do you genuinely feel love from me when I do that to you? All right. And fellas, your wife, I'm going to give you the spoiler alert. It's usually not sex. Okay. Sex is the aftermath of a lot of different things for most women. You have to build up to that through foreplay, through some sort of communication drills, and don't call it a communication drill to your wife, but the truth is you're gonna have to do a little bit more than just show up butt naked and be like, let's go. All right. Now some wives may be into that, and that gets that there you go. Kudos, whatever. I don't know. But other wives, you're going to have to build up to that, because sex for women is very physical, but there's a huge mental portion to it. And you have to learn how to tap into that mental portion to ignite the physical portion. All right? That's just the way it is for many, many women. After talking to a lot of women and asking them this question, a lot of them say that they just want to connect first. And I'll have to do a whole episode on connecting with your wife, because, yeah. But physical touch, it may lead to, or ask your wife to instruct you, all right? Now, here's the cool thing about physical touch. As I said before in the massage scenario, it may lead to foreplay or sex. And for a lot of us, we hope it does, right? We hope it does lead to foreplay, and we hope it does lead to sex. But don't let that be the only thing that you're looking for out of the physical touch. Because, again, the whole purpose behind this episode is that we're showing our wife genuine love by touching her in a way that she receives the love from us, not in the way that we would prefer to show the love to her. That's very important. Touch your wife in a way that she receives the love, not in the way that you prefer to show her the love. You can change your preference based off of the way you see your wife and your willingness to love her. All right? It's that simple. You do what she wants. You gain ground and you fill her love tank. You move the needle in the right direction of becoming a better husband and building your marriage and genuinely making your marriage better. Okay? So, the last note that I have here, combining physical touch with a few of the other love languages, like words of affirmation and quality time. And episode 10, episode 10 is an episode where I talked about spending quality time. I recommend, if you want to know what quality time is, because that's the only episode that I have available right now. I am going to do another one. But if you want to combine physical touch, words of affirmation, and quality time, these are like the three magical love languages to combine, and you will get some amazing results when you learn how to combine all three of these effectively. So if you want to fill your wife's love tank, like from E to F, learn how to combine these three. Now, I do have a bonus tip for you after the drill that will help you combine at least two of them, words of affirmation and physical touch. And next week, when I go over the quality time, you'll be able to combine the words of affirmation, physical touch, and quality time. So with that, let's go ahead and jump into the drill for the week. So here's what I want you to do. First, I need you to identify your physical touch enjoyment things, whatever. What do you enjoy your wife to touch you, and how do you receive love from your wife physically, in a physical touch way? I would caution you to think beyond sexual ways if that's all you're thinking. Find the non-sexual ways. So think of it as, how can my wife touch me in front of the kids that makes me feel loved? That could be a hug. That could be a back rub. That could be, grabbing onto your arm and rubbing that. I don't know. You write that down, okay? This is a self-assessment for you. But then I want you to ask your wife what type of physical touch she enjoys and have a genuine conversation with her about it. In this conversation, you want to seek to understand why she likes that type of touch. But don't push her to explain it, because she may not know at the current moment why she enjoys that touch. You may get a response like, well, I just do. And that's perfectly fine, because that simplifies it for you. Touch her like this because she just likes it. All right? And eventually, she will get to a point to explaining to you. Sorry, my dog in the background. Eventually, she will get to a point where she can explain to you why she likes that sort of physical touch. It's that simple. All right? Once you have what your wife likes as physical touch, here's where the drill really kicks in. I want you to serve this to her at least once in the morning and once in the afternoon for the next 7 days. Now, if you can't have this conversation until Monday, then your 7 days start on Tuesday, right? Because you want to meet the intent of showing her love in the morning and in the afternoon. Physical touch. Really, you want to show her love all throughout the day, but I'm teaching you ways of different techniques that you can use to show her love all day throughout the day, but being very intentional with your approach to it. All right. So one time in the morning, show her that physical touch, whatever it is, and then one time in the afternoon. And be consistent with this, as in once in the morning, once in the afternoon. Not necessarily the time, because again, timing really does matter. You want to make sure that your timing is on point. So once in the morning, once in the afternoon. Now, I promised you a bonus tip. Here's what you want to do. All right. If you already did the words of affirmation drill from last week by, dropping off those words of affirmation in the morning or in the evening, if that's what you chose to do, whenever. Now you're going to deliver the words of affirmation when you deliver your physical touch, either in the morning or in the afternoon. All right. Now, my recommendation is you always want to start your words of affirmation with your wife in the morning. All right. Because that helps her day get started on the right foot, right? You know, the old saying, you woke up on the wrong side of the bed. Well, if you give her some words of affirmation in the morning, it helps with that adjustment for waking up on the wrong side of the bed. So that is gold right there. Use words of affirmation along with physical touch. Now, if you can come up with, and I hope that you can, because you've had some practice over the last week. Now we're going to kick it up a notch. Come up with 2 words of affirmation per day, or phrases of affirmation, whatever you want to call it. Come up with 2 of those per day. Give her 1 in the morning when you give her physical touch, and give her 1 in the afternoon when you give her physical touch. That's simple. This is going to increase the love tank exponentially, and it's going to genuinely show your wife love in a way that she probably isn't expecting to get. And I will caution you, once you start doing these things, your wife is going to expect them on a regular basis. So my recommendation to you is find a way to be consistent with these drills, or with this drill or any of the other drills that works for your lifestyle. All right. If this drill doesn't work for your lifestyle, then maybe find a different drill that does work. But the goal is to find a way to show your wife love every single day. That's the tagline of this show. And it's genuinely the mantra that I live by. Every day I'm looking for at least 1 to 2 opportunities where I can hit the home run and super crisp, show up and show my wife love every single day. So there it is, guys. That is the episode on physical touch. I want you guys to join me next week as I discuss quality time over again. And, if you just want to jump ahead and learn what quality time is and some good ways of spending quality time, I recommend you go check out episode number 10. Like I've mentioned at the beginning of the show, links to any shows that I talk about in this episode or future episodes will be in the show notes. So you don't have to go necessarily navigating around on your podcasting platform. You can just go to the show notes and the link to that show will be there. But I recommend that you guys come and join me next week as I discuss quality time in a completely different light. Well, not completely, in a different light than what is in episode 10. So I hope that you guys can join me next week. And until next time, I want you guys to find a way to love your wife every day. Peace.